GMGP, good morning, good people. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all decided to wake up with us. You're sick. You're sick in the head. There's a lot of fantasy football shows out there, but I promise y'all, they not like us. Brock Bowers, you looked a little quicker than fast. What does that even mean? Redraft, dynasty, best ball, high stakes, we got you covered. And that's MVS and Justin Watson with some of the dopest tools designed to help you cancel out the noise and dominate your leagues. If there's a white wide receiver named Antoine, sign me up. Maybe it's cultural. I don't know. In season or off season, rain, sleet, hail, and snow, comma, semicolon, period, next sentence, to bring you the most actionable and entertaining content on YouTube. You don't go buy the dip on the Titanic.
Quarterback that you love, D-Bro. One of the best values in fantasy football.
Prop bets with my man JRich.
Is that yes! Let's go!
So wipe the crust out of your eye, get you a cup of coffee. It's time to wake y'all asses up with Ray
and Jay
in the morning.
My God.
How good is he? Let's get it. Let's get it. GMGP. It is Monday, November 18th, 2024. Y'all decided to wake y'all asses up with me and my brother from another mother at your boy JRich on Blue Sky, X, whatever you get your social media information from. Me and JRich here with y'all today. We appreciate each and every eye, each and every ear in the damn building. If you're new to the channel, we have a good time. We're going to talk through some of the biggest storylines this weekend in the NFL. Might talk a little boxing. Who knows? You know, GQ is a 5-sport athlete over here. Who we got in the damn building? What's happening with you, Patrick? Joe, my girl, Chris Howard in the building. Richie, what's up, baby? Jorge from Rhode Island, always in the damn building each and every Monday, Wednesday. And JRich, we do the show Fridays as well, right? AMA Fridays,
yes,
Jay?
Sir.
AMA
yes, sir.
Fridays. There we go. Orlando in the building. We're going to talk about him, Orlando. He's saying Bills Mafia, GMGP, Adam Zaff in the building, Luke Garrison, wifey in the building. Shout out, she the baddest, 1908. She is the baddest. That is Mrs. GQ in the building. And I try to tell y'all, Jay, Tommy DeVito. I try to tell you.
Tommy Cutlets, baby.
Jay, did I not say it? Tommy DeVito. What are we doing in New York? Looks like they're going to have another quarterback. We got Would You Rather today. JRich is going to have to answer some tough questions about Bo Nix. We are going to discuss Anthony Richardson today because that's what we do. JRich, I'm feeling good today, baby. How you doing?
I'm sure you are feeling good.
I'm feeling
sure
good
you are.
Today,
yeah.
baby. How you doing?
It's going to be tough for me today, Ray. It's not gonna be easy. We got A-Rich already back. Took one game and we're back in, and now we got to make some serious decisions.
We got to make decisions.
And Bo Nix, I mean, I did not have them throttling the Atlanta Falcons on my bingo card, but god damn it happened. So we will definitely have some conversation about A-Rich and Bo Nix today. It's gonna be
it's gonna be a fun
interesting show for sure.
This is going to be a fun show. But we're what was that, week 11? Week 11 of the NFL season? My goodness.
Cooper Rush versus Tommy DeVito. Prime time.
We're not,
baby.
listen,
Let's go.
We're not going to talk about it. We're going to talk about something far more important right now. Our sponsors, the people that pay the bills. Y'all see it on the screen. Underdog Fantasy. Use the promo code ALLGAS for up to $1,000 in bonus bets. We have been betting like madmen over there in the DD Fantasy Football Discord. Go to patreon.com/AllGas. Or go to ddfantasyfootball.com. Trust the Trinity, as there will be some good Trinity finds this week. Lad McConkey balling out. T. Higgins, JRich, Christian Watson getting down the field. It is going to be something watching those dots this week on the old DD Fantasy Football site. But real quick, shout out to all the veterans and our partners over here at DD Fantasy Football. New era hats. Yes, you see it on the screen right now. This is the Salute to Service collection. Show your support for those who serve with the official cap of Salute to Service from New Era Hats. With a snow camo crown and a graphite accented team logos, the Salute to Service collection lets you proudly show your appreciation in a sleek and sophisticated way. We know we all about that, baby. Pay tribute to those who protect us with the official cap of the NFL. From New Era Cap today, the NFL and New Era are dedicated to honoring our nation's heroes through contributions to the NFL's Salute to Service charity partners. Learn more at NFL.com/salute. There is a link in the description of the show. Please support, honor, and we appreciate those that serve this great country. JRich, we don't have a ton of news, but we do got to get into it, baby. We got to get into it. A lot of football stuff and topical things that we need to talk about. So let's get into it. Straight facts right now.
The biggest news in the world of sports. Covered and brought to you by one man, Jordan Richards. This is Straight Facts. Yeah, Ray, as you kind of said already, there wasn't a lot of injury news, thankfully for us this weekend. So we'll start off with Darnell Mooney, who did leave the game in the third quarter with a pulled hamstring. We don't know the severity right now, but considering the Falcons were getting blown out pretty early in this game, he did not return, and we know he was dealing with the Achilles as well over the course of the weekend. Friday and Saturday, he was ultimately cleared, then suffered the hamstring injury. Maybe they're related, maybe they're not. We'll probably find out some more during this week. Both Alexander Mattison and Zamir White went down and were ruled out by the Las Vegas Raiders. So it left Amir Abdullah to get the rest of the workload. So maybe, depending on if these guys are injured, we see Amir Abdullah again. And maybe, Ray, we see Dylan Lobby. And I didn't know this, and I don't know if you knew this either. He only has one carry on the entire season, and he fumbled and has yet to play in the NFL.
Those August and June and July rookie darts, those Vidals, those Dylan Lobs, none of that shit is coming to fruition. None of it.
Yeah, probably not going to happen. But it's interesting, if you do need a running back, Amir Abdullah could be available and could be the starter by this time next weekend, should you like that. Tajay Spears also suffered another concussion, so chances are I'd expect him to miss the next game because he's already suffered a boatload of concussions already, and so he is dealing with that. We also, Ray, as you talked about in the open of the show, got the official benching of Daniel Jones. It's the end of an era in New York. Your best friend in New York, the quarterback that you've seen tremendous highs and tremendous lows with, Daniel Jones, is officially benched. He will no longer be a New York Giant, as we expect, and it will be Tommy Cutlets coming in to fill in that quarterback position. It won't be Drew Lock. It's going to be Tommy Cutlets, Tommy DeVito. We'll see what he can do. Maybe he can win some games and knock them out of a top 3 pick like he did last season. But hopefully not for Giants fans, but it is probably the end of Daniel Jones, thankfully for everybody who watches him play. Luckily for me, that is not too often. We also had the fight between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. We did touch on it a little bit on Friday, but the fight was at midnight on Friday. Yes. It was as rigged as I said it was on Friday, in my opinion. Ray, feel free to give your thoughts on what you thought about the fight. And then the Chargers roared back last night to beat Cincinnati. We probably won't talk much about that game. Very similar script as we always see. The Bengals get down, they come back, and their defense fails them. The Chargers ultimately won that game, vaulting them into a great position for the playoffs. But how did you feel about that fight, Ray? Did you stay up and watch it? Because I can tell you, I absolutely did not.
I did. The Netflix was buffering quite hard all night long. Shout out to Antonio Brown, who was live streaming it from the thing for the people who couldn't see it, because it was a mess. But no, this was the bigger thing that I didn't see prior to the fight was, did you see Mike Tyson's contract or hear about the terms and the conditions in his deal? Did you hear that if he
knocks him out early, he gets less money?
He got no money. He only got max money if he lasted 8 rounds. It was a money grab, man. It was exactly what we expected, man. I didn't want Mike to get out there and get hurt, and he looked like a 60-year-old trying to box a 27-year-old. And I don't care how big of a killer he was back in the 80s and the 90s. He's 60 years old, man. Father Time is undefeated. It was kudos to him to get out there and do that, but that was not a fight. You know, Jake Paul is not very good, and Mike Tyson is 60 years old. But, of course, we sat and watched. I thought the undercards were really good. Serrano versus I forgot what the other girl's name was, but that was a dope fight. There was some good undercard fights, but that one was it made a lot of money. They did what they intended to do.
The books made a shitload of money on that fight. 90% handle on Tyson to win.
90%. I don't know how people were putting money on Tyson. Just burning cash, putting money on Mike.
And it was pretty good. All the bettors that I followed said Jake Paul was free money. And so
free money. Yeah.
Should have bet some more on him. But
and it's interesting that contract didn't come out till after the fight, right? Where, Mike had to do all these things in order to get max money. But here we are, and we will do it again in 2 years when he fights Conor McGregor or Manny Pacquiao or whomever, some retired bum.
Tank Davis, maybe?
Who?
Tank Davis?
No, he would not Javonte Davis would not end well. I'd love to see him fight Deontay Wilder. Let him fight the Bronze Bomber. You know, he's been knocked out his last like
awful.
6 fights. Yeah, go fight Deontay Wilder, man. Go fight Deontay Wilder. All right, Jay. You touched on it, and you talked about it really quickly. So let's talk about the Chargers versus the Bengals game quickly. And it's not so much the game, but the storylines inside the games is what we want to focus on today. And I don't know how many times over the past month we have been saying, go buy this player, go buy this player, go buy this player. Justin Herbert, JRich, last night. And it wasn't even that you look at the statistical numbers. It wasn't his greatest performance. He's had better throwing performances, but you just see it, man. You can tell this is going to be a team that's going to be good for a very long time. Jim Harbaugh is an excellent coach. He's won every stop that he's been at. And last night you saw Herbert doing it with his arms. He ran the ball well last night. He got Ladd McConkey involved. Will Dissly was involved. Quentin Johnston was involved doing what he does. Just quickly talk about Justin Herbert and your thoughts about him moving forward. I don't know where he's ranked on KTC right now, any of that stuff, but just watching him, I'm like, in fantasy football and dynasty, I know we're chasing this and we're chasing that. We want the youth and we're excited. Like, there's no player I want more than Justin Herbert right now in Superflex, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing for me when you watch Herbert, and we kind of make these excuses for young quarterbacks all the time, it's like, well, they don't have a plethora of pass-catching options. We talk about it with Drake May at times, and it's kind of the reverse for Caleb Williams when you don't find success despite all of these pass catches at your disposal. But you really did see it multiple times. It's like a key third down play, and he puts it probably where Quentin Johnston should catch it, probably where Josh Palmer should catch it, and they don't. And you're like, oh, is he really going to lose because his team's kind of letting him down? But the larger point that you're making is that you can see him make phenomenal throws in clutch moments, and he missed Ladd McConkey earlier in the game to help, facilitate that drive to win the game. And ultimately, I think the biggest takeaway for me in this game entirely is the last 2 drives of the game. The only player he looked to was Ladd McConkey.
That was it.
Every play was drawn up for him. Every throw was his direction, whether he caught it or not. Yes, Herbert almost threw a pick. They came back. They ran the out and up, and it worked to perfection. They capitalized on that play. So it's just like, when you look at this team right now, unless they add a very dominant, like high-level pass catcher, it seems like Ladd McConkey is going to continue to be the number 1 target. And as we've talked about countless times on this show, while QJ only caught 2 of his 8 targets, getting 8 targets is pretty damn good, and one of those was in the end zone as well. So those 2 players, along with what we saw from Will Dissly early in the game, but I think it all comes down to Ladd McConkey and Justin Herbert late in the game, got it done to win, and he was definitely the guy that Herbert was looking for time and time again.
Yeah, Jim Harbaugh's he's done a phenomenal job, and you watch them, it doesn't feel like they're complete right now. It feels like they're making it happen with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, and they're making it happen with Josh Palmer and Quentin Johnston and Will Dissly. And it's like, man, if they surround him with some, let's just say Keenan Allen, Mike Williams,
what if they get T. Higgins,
level of players, right? Those caliber of guys around McConkey, around Quentin Johnston, they probably still need to add another receiver, maybe another dynamic rusher to deep class, continue to improve that O-line. They're going to be very good. This team is for real in the AFC West, in the AFC Conference. Very impressed with what the Chargers are doing. And on the other side of the ball, we're talking in our group chat last night, and I'm thinking, man, is Joe Burrow how is he not in higher MVP consideration and conversations? Joe Burrow went out there, threw the ball 50 times, 356 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, Jay. Also gave you 28 yards on the ground, got T. Higgins involved, who with Burrow, he looks like a monster. Jamar Chase scoring touchdowns each and every week. Those were the 2 guys. Chase Brown siphoning up those underneath targets. Yep. This is a 4-7 team that, here's the scary part about Cincinnati. They're probably going to finish in the range, Jay, to be inside that top 12, top 15 picks. And they're going to get a freaking stud on a team that's probably a lot better than their 4-7 record indicates.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see, right? Right now they're at 11. But the issue for them is that, are they really tanking, right? And are they going to get some
No, I'm not saying that they're trying to
down the stretch,
I'm not saying because they're trying to do it, but for whatever reason this year they're not sealing the deal. Defensively, they're not being able to come up with those stops. I'm not gonna lie to you. Once the Bengals scored, I was like, oh, this is over. They're going to finish this thing. I was like, this is a wrap. And it wasn't. Defensively, they've got a lot of issues that they have to fix, but this is not, I'm not saying they're going to be inside the top 12, top 15 because they're trying to tank. It's just, it seems like that is the unlucky draw that this season has brought to the Bengals.
Yeah, and you look to the post-game press conferences and the locker room interviews, and it's very critical, once again, of Zach Taylor and the coaching staff and the play calling, from T. Higgins to Jamar Chase to Joe Burrow. Like, we've seen Joe Burrow be very vocal about how he feels about this team, about this offense, about the play calling, about some of the decisions they make. And I don't know what they do from here, but I have to ask you, like, how long do you think Zach Taylor has? Do you think he can even last this season the way that some of the comments are coming out of the locker room and the way things are right now? Because this team is basically out of it, Ray. They're even behind the Miami Dolphins right now. So they would have to find a way to pass the Dolphins. Yeah. And at that point, it's over. So where do you think they stand today? And do you think there's a chance that Zach Taylor gets fired even as early as this week?
I don't think so. I don't think he does. Year one without Mixon, Burrows, I don't think so. Just a couple of years removed from a Super Bowl appearance. I don't think so. But this season, man, I have no idea. I have no idea. I know this does not feel like a team that wants to rebuild, like a team that wants to take steps back and say we're gonna muddle through the AFC. It doesn't feel like the Bengals want to do that. Something's going to change. Something has to change in Cincinnati. Burrow is getting it done when Higgins is on the field. It's always the caveat with T. Higgins. When he's on the field, he's awesome. When he's on the field. And then Jamar Chase is just Jamar Chase. He's incredible. There was a comment in the chat really quickly. Leo asked, Burrow versus Herbert in Dynasty. JRich, where would you lean?
That's really tough because they're going to lose Higgins, man. And without Higgins this year, this team has looked drastically worse than they have with Higgins. I almost want to say Herbert. It sounds scary, though, because I think they're going to have to add pass catchers in the offseason. They're going to have to do something to replace T. Higgins, right? They tried it with Burton. I don't think they really like Burton too much. I don't think Burrow likes Burton too much, so they're going to kind of have to figure things out there. But where do you stand on it? Would you take Herbert? Do you think it's too bold to take Herbert over Burrow right now, especially the way Burrow's playing?
Yeah, I don't think it would be bold because, 12 months ago, he was ahead of Burrow, like literally on KTC. And we're just using that because that's the biggest aggregate. He was ahead of Burrow. He was ahead of Joe Burrow. I think it's interesting. Let me say this. If you would send me a plus with the Herbert for my Burrow, I'd have no problem doing that.
Like
I would have no problem tearing down from Joe Burrow to Justin Herbert, even though I don't think there's much of a tear down involved in a move like that. Let's talk about the big game, though. The big game, and I believe it was Friday.
Biggest game.
We were asked, our conference champion picks, our Super Bowl champs, and OGQ couldn't have been more right and more wrong at the same time. I couldn't have been more right and more wrong at the same time. Right in the sense that I said, I believe this is Josh Allen's time. I think he's going to beat Kansas City. They're going to go on a run. He's going to win the MVP, and he's going to take the Buffalo Bills to the Super Bowl. What happened on Sunday? They beat Kansas City Chiefs. He's number one right now. He's the odds-on favorite to win NFL MVP, and they're not in the driver's seat to be the number one seed in the AFC, but this team is very good. Where I was very wrong is the other side. I was like, San Francisco, they're going to go on the run, and they're going to meet Buffalo in the Super Bowl. But let's talk about that Bills-Chiefs game and, watching that one because that was the big game people were waiting on. I think there were a lot of other storylines that we wanted to see from other games, but the game that everybody was excited for was the undefeated Kansas City Chiefs versus the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs lost. They're 9-1. The Bills are 9-2. And I'll say Josh Allen, passing-wise, he was fine. Again, wasn't his best throwing performance. You're not going to – the history books aren't going to remember that. Yeah. But when it was winning time and they needed a play – like Josh, that's what I don't give a shit about anything else. You know what I'm going to remember? Him running through, what does Marshawn Lynch say? A mother effer's face to get in the end zone. 26-yard rumble by Josh Allen, 12 for 55, one touchdown. He did his thing. James Cook, I mean, you asked me the other day, Ray, I'd give up Chuba and stuff for James Cook. I'm like, I wouldn't do that. I'm watching the game. All I can think about is, damn, 2 rushing touchdowns. Maybe JRich was right. But talk about this, man. We got to see him versus Mahomes head-to-head. I'm looking at Mahomes. I want to be like, it's one of his better performances, and he threw for 196, 3 touchdowns, and 2 picks. So it's weird saying that, but what are your thoughts? Let's start with the winning team. Josh Allen, just how damn good he is, this Buffalo Bills team, and what they're going to do for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough. You know, I'm going to be on Bleacher Report later today talking about the AFC playoff picture and kind of how everything's going to shake out, who's going to win the AFC, etc. And I won't spoil it for everybody, but I do think there is a route for Buffalo to get the number 1 seed. Now, they would have to beat the Lions, I believe, on the road, which is the big X factor there for them for the rest of the season. They have to basically run the table. But for a performance where, once again, playing the Chiefs, you can't really run the ball, Josh Allen was asked to do literally everything for this team. And this is the reason why you just can't help but love Josh Allen, because in the same breath that we talk about Lamar Jackson and how great he is and how much the Ravens ask him to do, the Buffalo Bills ask the exact same questions of Josh Allen each and every week, and it's his job to answer the bell. And that's why early in his career, people said he was a bust, people said he was no good, people said he was turnover prone, but when he's still doing the same things but winning games, all of a sudden he's an MVP, he's next up. And I think, you know, people talk about it already a little bit. It feels like they are the Colts to the Kansas City Chiefs Patriots, and they just need to find a way to beat them in the playoffs. They beat them a couple times in the regular season already, but they need to find a way to beat them in the playoffs. I think that's the scary part about Josh Allen and the Bills is like, yeah, this win feels great, but it doesn't matter if they can't beat Kansas City in the playoffs.
Well, it mattered on Sunday, and right now the way that he's playing like the MVP, and I think you make a really good point. We talk about Lamar and how much he has to do to carry Baltimore, and what Mahomes has to do to carry this Chiefs team. But Josh Allen, he's carrying the Buffalo Bills, and just watching him play, watching him do what he does, he's the MVP, man. He in my opinion, he should be the odds-on favorite MVP of the season. And the Buffalo Bills, as they continue to get healthier, this team is no joke. This team is no joke. My question to you is, where does Kansas City go? And I'm going to say from here loosely because they've lost 1 game. If you saw at the end of it when it was pretty much official and solidified that Buffalo was going to take it away, Travis Kelce was walking off the field and he was just kind of clapping and kind of smile, like he's kind of like, okay, y'all won your Super Bowl here, clap, good job, you got to win.
We'll see you later, right?
Yeah, Mahomes was, and Mahomes said, look, the undefeated thing was cool, but ultimately, like, it's over, we're done with that, we got a loss, let's move on for the next week. Absolutely. They are going to get Isaiah Pacheco back, and I said on this show, before the season, at the beginning of the season, I said that I thought he was the engine of the offense. A lot of people disagreed with me. Ray, you're crazy. No way. It's Mahomes. And the engine and the most valuable player are not one and the same. There's no doubt without Mahomes, his team is nowhere. You put Pacheco out there for 9 weeks and no Mahomes, they're not 9-0. So it's not, I'm not disputing the fact who the most valuable player is on that team. But when you've got a dynamic, explosive rusher like Isaiah Pacheco that really sets a different type of tone than Kareem Hunt, who's just sort of plodding his way down the field, it felt like to me, watching the Chiefs with Pacheco, felt like when Kansas City had the old Kareem Hunt years ago, and as good as Tyreek and Kelce were, like, Kareem Hunt was the dude. Like, that was the guy who was helping move that offense, doing special things, picking up the tough yards. I think that if Pacheco is 85% of what he was, he is going to help this offense out a lot, Jay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at what Kareem Hunt does, and you're just like, man, if he had a little bit more juice, he was a little bit stronger, and you'd be like, well, that's basically what Isaiah Pacheco is, right? He's got more juice, a little bit stronger, more explosive, better out of the backfield as well. Like, he just adds a different dimension to this team that they just don't have at the moment without him. And, you know, you came into the season, you saw how reliant they were going to be on him because this team already struggled through the air. And I think the question that I have for you, Ray, we can talk about the schedule and how the Chiefs really only have 1, maybe 2 tough games. I think there's a big question as to whether they're going to beat the Steelers on the road on Christmas.
Yeah.
That will be the Netflix game. The way the Steelers are playing right now, I think there's a very good question there, and I'd love your thoughts on that.
Yeah.
But I need you to talk to me about Xavier Worthy, because watching the game this past weekend, it seemed like to some extent we saw him in that slot Rashee Rice role, running the drag routes, running some of the short stuff, the quick hitches, and it was Hopkins who was phased out of the game to some extent and running a little bit further down the field. Did you see elements of that, and do you think that Worthy can continue what he did in Buffalo?
This is why I have not been as panicked on Xavier Worthy as a lot of people, and I've continued to say it. He's a different type of player. He's a different type of player, and it felt like they were forced to use him, and it worked. And Patrick Mahomes even talked about, had I let him down the field, that's a touchdown. I've got to be better. Yeah. And there were some Kansas City Chiefs beat reporters that said he has struggled with downfield accuracy of late, Mahomes, that is. I'm not as panicked on Worthy. He's got a superpower. They want to use him. He's not Rashee Rice. He's not Tyreek Hill. I think he can be a very good field stretcher for this team. And early when they used him, I think that one drive, he had like 4 receptions, scored a touchdown on that drive. Buffalo couldn't find, there was no answer for him because he is just so damn fast. They need to continue to use him. I'm still very much in on Worthy in this offense, very much so. I do think it will continue, and whether you call that out of necessity or out of him figuring it out, think about what Kansas City has lost. And I know a lot of people, I know this is hard for a lot of fantasy minds to comprehend, but he was not supposed to be in this role. Hollywood Brown, gone. Isaiah Pacheco, gone. Rashee Rice, gone. Travis Kelce, he wasn't supposed to be in this role this early, but he's figuring it out. And this is what young rookies do, young players do. So I am not nearly as panicked on Worthy. Still very much in on him. Like the prospectus, like what they're doing with him. And I think he'll continue to do that moving forward, Jay. Anything else you want to say about this game before we hit the break and then come back to talk about Anthony Richardson and the Colts?
No, I think that's it. I think it's really just Xavier Worthy. What do you do with him? And do you think he's the guy kind of moving forward? Because it was that switch from Hopkins to Worthy this week.
They're two different. I think they're just two different players. I think Hopkins will be involved in his way, but he's not doing the type of shit that Worthy's doing, and Worthy's probably not trusted to do the type of shit that Hopkins is asked to do on a week-to-week basis. So let's hit the break, run it up, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, like, and we'll be right back talking JRich and the Colts. Bo Nix, would you rather? 49ers crying, meltdown city in Santa Clara. We're going to get into it all after this.
This shit is elementary, I'd probably go to jail if I shoot at your identity and bounce to the left. Stuck a flag in my city, everybody screaming Compton. I should probably run for mayor when I'm done, to be honest. And I put that on my mama and my baby boo too. 20 million walking out the court, better woo woo. Oh yeah, fuck the judge, I made it past 25. And now I was a little nappy-headed nigga with the world behind him. Life ain't shit but a fat vagina, screaming, Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Limo tenant with the gold plate, straight from the bottom. Mr. Belly of the beast, from a peasant to a prince to a motherfucking king. Oh yeah.
Man, I am rocking. Nice change of the music. JRich, welcome back in. This is Wake Up with Ray and Jay. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, a lot of people talking about Worthy getting the foot down. Come on, man. Like, I'm not about to kill him for that. We see that 20 times a weekend in the NFL.
His sideline awareness is not, like, it's just not good enough. Don't you think? Like, dude, I think we can be a little critical of him, a little bit.
How about be critical?
It keeps happening.
Sure, he was right there. Like, if that is the thing that people want to be critical of, fine. Sure, go ahead and hang your laurels on that. That shit happens 20 times a weekend, every single game, and half of the time you're not even watching the games. Not you in particular, but you're not watching the play, so you don't see it happen. Like, I'm not about to bury him because he didn't drag which he did. He drug it too early, man. He drugged the foot too early. The other foot he drug it too early. He's a rookie. Like, come on, man. We're not about to do that. I'm not doing that. So let's get into Anthony Richardson's resurgence against the Jets. Jay, I don't think there's been a more up and down roller coaster, nobody knows a damn thing storyline in the NFL this season than this one right here. This has to be the number one just sports NFL drama of the 2024 season. Anthony Richardson, Shane Steichen, Chris Ballard, Jim Irsay in the Indianapolis Colts. And it's just, I love the fact that it was against Karen Rodgers and Devontae. I'm just so happy that this happened versus this team. Rich had a career day, 272 passing yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, 2 rushing touchdowns on the ground as the Colts roared down the field to storm back and win 28-27. The Jets could not contain Richardson. He made some very good throws. He layered some in early. I think it was the first drive of the game. A nice feather 30-yard throw over the shoulder to Josh Downs, hit Alec Pierce on another one, and multiple passes dropped by wide receivers in this game. Now, didn't look quite as fast in this one. Maybe that breath, he's got to get his energy back up. Thank God he didn't say he was tired again, but he played well. JRich played very well. So I went to X to ask the people how they were feeling about Anthony Richardson after his performance. Would you like me to read off some of the responses to my Anthony Richardson tweet? Do you want to hear
Absolutely.
what the people said? All right. This is what the people said. It's not what I said. I said, so what are y'all doing with Anthony Richardson after today's performance? Let me just read a couple. All right. Let me just read a couple. Trading him from SC Romero from the PPR show. Said I'm trading him. Just simple as that. Big comeback win. AR looks solid. Still got to move him. Jimbo, fan of the show, he says hold. We got some more. Okay. Sell. Haters real quiet. Riding this out. Selling him as quick as I can. Can't wait till Monday to move his ass. Probably complaining about how much he sucks after next week's performance. It's up and down. Traded him for Taysom Hill straight up. That's another comment right there. What can you do with it? I mean, it is 50-50. It is true. Yeah. And this is why I tweeted out, Jay, I think this week and this week alone, both sides of the Anthony Richardson trade ledger probably can look phenomenal. Like, this is probably a week where you've got a motivated market on the buyer side and a motivated market on the seller side. I don't know if there's a better buy and sell window for one isolated player than this one right here. Because if you're in, you're feeling damn good. He's back in. We knew it. They just needed to open up the offense for him. And then you got the other side of the trade ledger saying, man, these Jets stink. I still don't trust it. I don't want any single part of them. I'm trying to move. I can't wait, Jay, to see what the trades and fantasy football look like this week. I shit you not. I think they could be awesome on both sides of the ledger.
Yeah, it's tough, man. To know what to do with JRich right now, it depends on a lot of things. How much you believe in him, what you think his outlook is for even this week, right? Because he has to play the Lions. And I don't care what you think about JRich. That's tough, man. Like, it's to come back in the way that he did, to win the game in the fashion that he did with his legs. They're running a lot of little read option plays. He's throwing the ball all over the yard and looking really good. To have to come back and play the Lions, it's like,
wait, where are you? I wish I was in a league with Ray so I could sell JRich to him with a side of beans. Keep going, man.
I just need to know what your thoughts. Like, are you actually buying him right now? Because your biggest thing was, I will wait until I see it. It's the same thing I said about Christian McCaffrey, and I think I was sort of right to wait on that. But you saw it a little bit. You saw him use with a bit of read option. You saw him absolutely run over dudes in the red zone. And you saw him put on a pretty good passing performance. But knowing he's facing the Lions this week, do you have any hesitancy to go and buy him ahead of this game?
I think you're hesitant every week. Sure.
Probably.
You're hesitant because you know the lows, right? You know how, even if you know how your league mates, how the ecosphere of social media and you know how people are going to react if he does throw interceptions or get sacked or not complete the short passes. This is why I just think that this week is a good week to buy him or move him. If whatever side you're on, I think both sides will walk away after this week feeling good. If you're in, then you go get him. Then you go get him. Am I concerned about him being able to score with the number one scoring offense in the end? Hell yeah. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up, right? But what you saw out of him was some improvement. Some improvement. Do you trust it long term? I don't trust it long term. Not with what Shane Steichen has already done to the young man. And this is what we talked about from the very beginning. Everything changed when Shane benched him for whatever reason and sat him and had Flacco play well. They wouldn't have put him in, but they did. He did not. And JRich went out there and won the game. Not just played well. And here's the difference between he and Bryce Young for fantasy. I could say Bryce Young has looked really, really good his last 2 outings, right? He's looked excellent. But he's not going to score you fantasy points. His NFL excellence doesn't score. JRich, he ran for 2 touchdowns and threw for 1. Where's he at on the week? What is he? He's got to be like top 6. What is he, top 6, top 7 on the week? That's the difference between his playing okay for fantasy versus Bryce Young. So are there
QB4, Ray? QB4.
Are you
like? Wasn't crazy. It was good though.
I still think that you could have, when we first talked about this 3.5 weeks ago, you could have traded your JRich for Bo Nix plus straight up, right? Had Bo Nix taken some of the shit that you got from the trade and then went right back and bought JRich this week right now and had JRich and Bo Nix. These are real deals that we talked about that you could have done at the I think about this. I am not a professional. I will not give advice. I've lost a lot of money, but I very much understand the technicals of the stock market. I'm very much tuned in to what's going on and how to read a chart. And it just makes it made too much sense. Once he hit that point and there was still belief in a situation where the coach told you he ain't playing for a little bit, you could have bought Nix plus for JRich, taken the plus, kept Nix, went back out today, 3.5, almost a month later, and bought the same. That is dynasty.
Sure.
Like you just don't, at least the way that I play, and in the leagues that I'm in, you don't have to just hold through the volatility, right? And that's what we continue.
And that was the whole point.
You don't have to. You can, but you don't have to. Good for Anthony Richardson. We'll see how this thing plays out. Lions this week, and then what do they have next? So they got the Broncos at some point.
It's Patriots, then Broncos.
Patriots.
It's like a bit
Broncos.
of an up and down schedule. Yeah, Patriots, then Broncos, then Titans, Giants, Jags. So like Titans, Giants, Jags.
I mean, he should have a nice runway at the end of the season to look really good. He really should.
It depends how he plays against the Titans, right? Because we know the Titans defense is actually okay. And they're actually pretty good. They don't allow a ton of points. And the Broncos, I mean, we saw what they did to the Atlanta Falcons. So.
Let's go into it because that was supposed to be like segment 4 on the show sheet. But let's get into it. The Denver Broncos, and more importantly, their rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, who continues to just stack weeks on top of weeks and look impressive. 38-6 rout of the Atlanta Falcons. Bo Nix, 300 yards. He had 3 or 4 touchdowns, poise, precision, ran around. Jay, I'm going to say this too, man. Nobody's talking about this kid. Not a soul outside of Denver, right? We talk about Marv and Odunze and McConkey and all these rookies. That Devon Vele out of Denver. Devon Vele, I'm watching him he's like Cortland Sutton 2.0. He's like learning from the master Cortland Sutton of the downfield deep ball. Devon Vele, at first I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
He feels like Sean Payton's version of, I'm not going all the way to MT, but do you remember Robert Meacham? When he played, Robert Meacham was that. He reminds me of one of those guys that Sean Payton develops. Vele's probably a starting receiver on this team next year. I'm just going to put that out there. He's probably starting in 12 personnel, 11 personnel. He's probably a starting wideout for Denver next year. But Bo Nix, how impressed have you been with this rookie just this season, the highs and the lows of Nix? Because it hasn't all been a crystal smooth sailing, but how impressive is Bo this season?
I think he's defied just about every expectation I ever had for him. You know, you could say there's highs and lows, but it doesn't really feel like it with Bo. Like, honestly, for what you expect that bar to be for him, he's really came out and overperformed just about every stretch. You know, early on, like all rookie quarterbacks, they all struggle to some extent. But at this point now, I mean, you look at the past 4 games, he's thrown over 200 yards. He's thrown the ball 30 times or more each of the last 4 games. He's got 2+ touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 games. Like, we know that he has a rushing floor on top of that. So if you're throwing for 200 yards a game and running for like 30 or 40, at that point, we talk about Anthony Richardson. If he could do that, Bo Nix is literally doing what we expect Anthony Richardson to do almost every single week. And I think he's even less turnover prone. And so with that, Ray, how do you value that player? Because we just know that the old Bo Nix is still in there somewhere. We haven't seen it yet.
I don't know.
We haven't seen that crazy 4 interception game, but he's been very good. He's not taking sacks. He's not turning the ball over a lot. He's throwing for multiple touchdowns, which is surprising, and he has a great rushing floor. And all of that combined is basically a top 10 quarterback. And I think, Ray, if you want to really get really spicy with it, we talk all the time about Brock Purdy. Bo Nix is literally doing what Brock Purdy does every single week. And especially the Brock Purdy we see now, who doesn't have that high-end ceiling because San Fran isn't playing that well. He's kind of doing the same thing, running for 30 or 40 yards and throwing for around 2 touchdowns a week.
He's 15th in the NFL in passing yards, 14th in interceptions. 11th in interceptions tied for 61st with 6 interceptions. So not a lot of turnovers. 21st in QBR. He's really good. He's good, and 65% completion percentage. He's doing it with Sean Payton. Jay, you got to give him his flowers. He's and these are real. I'm not just saying Bo Nix plus for JRich, just pulling, like, these are real. We went through it on the show, like how many times people were acquiring him for Richardson during that time period. And he's got Denver in a playoff hunt, Jay. He's got the Broncos in the playoff hunt.
They're gonna make the playoffs
right now. I saw some people talking about Vele's age, 26. No one gives a shit about that anymore in fantasy football. Like, nobody cares. No. Who cares if he's 26? If he's 26 and he's going to be the starting receiver for the next 3 years and score me fantasy points, I don't give a damn how long I've got him. It doesn't matter, because you're not looking at a Devon Vele as a Justin Jefferson, Malik Neighbors long-term stable asset. You're looking at him, this is what I can get now. I don't give a shit how old he is. Bo Nix is pretty good.
He's probably
now.
always going to be a value, right?
Yeah,
probably
Bo
always
Nix,
going to be a value. No one's going to value him.
And there's something to the coach, Sean Payton, man.
For sure.
He knows what he's doing. Sean Payton is one of the best coaches to ever do it. And it looks like he's got his version of Drew Brees. So very exciting to watch this. And we're going to play a little game here, JRich. Little game. Hit the music for a little game time. Little game time.
Lucky
game time, JRich. You know what we like to do on the show. Would you rather? JRich, I'm going to show you a couple of images of some players, some quarterbacks, and I want you to talk about, would you rather have Bo Nix, or let's start this thing off with one of the young guys, JRich. Would you rather have right now Bo Nix or your choice of the QB1 in 2025, Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders? Which one?
I will take Bo Nix pretty easily.
Right. There we go. Right answer, Bo Nix is the correct answer. JRich, Bo Nix or this former #1 overall pick, and he also has a monster contract, so you know he's not going anywhere. The golden one, Trevor Lawrence, T-Law, or Bo Nix?
God, that's so tough. I'll take Bo Nix. I like
Bo Nix over Trevor Lawrence. I think it's got to be Bo Nix. Wow,
look at that pace.
Let's go. You are already there. Okay, got a few more for you, JRich. We talked about him. The aforementioned number 5, AR5. Would you rather Bo Nix or Anthony Richardson right now?
I would rather have Bo Nix. Far more consistent. And his coach actually likes him, which is good too.
JRich, Anthony Richardson, or played very well this past weekend, did not lose because the kicker missed a field goal. Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, or the #1 overall pick, Caleb Williams?
I will take Bo Nix. But Ray, where do you stand with that? Would you take Bo Nix or Caleb?
Whoa, Jay. I'm asking it again. Bo Nix or Caleb, not Caleb Downs, not Caleb Sanders, Caleb Williams of the Chicago Bears. Look at the screen. That guy.
Yeah, I'm taking QB 14 over QB 13. Bo Nix over Caleb Williams.
All right, cut the music. Cut the music. Bo Nix or Dak Prescott?
Bo Nix.
Last one. Bo Nix or Tua?
Bo Nix. Pretty easily.
All right. Well, that's where we're at with Mr. Nix. I mean, he's playing well.
I think the tough one, right, is Bo Nix or Jordan Love.
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love, right? Up lately.
Jordan Love, right?
I think the answer is Jordan Love. Jordan Love's been a little stinky lately, though. He's got to step it up.
It's just interesting how the narratives and opinions and thoughts about players change, because going through the draft process, I mean, I don't give a shit if he's at the 112. Never Bo Nix. I don't want Bo Nix. You don't want Bo Nix. The chat didn't want Bo. Now you're sitting here telling me he's a top 8 quarterback in fantasy football, Jordan.
We're getting very close. Do you want me to give you the list?
Okay, hold on. Nix or Purdy? Everyone keeps asking. Nix or Brock Purdy?
So, do you want to talk about San Francisco first? Because they are in trouble, my friend. This team is in big trouble.
Yes.
They lost again to Seattle in a great drive from Geno Smith. We talk about Geno Smith on this show probably more than we ever should, but God damn it, Ray, he did it again. Massive drive, ran the touchdown in to win the game, threw the ball to JSN very effectively, used DK Metcalf when he needed him. JSN was heavily involved.
Yes.
And that's great for us in fantasy who have him, who've been relying on him, who've been waiting to see him take over for Tyler Lockett. But the real issue here is the San Francisco 49ers offense, because it was all Jawan Jennings, and that's it. We had no George Kittle in the game, and it was all Jawan Jennings. Debo didn't do anything. Pearsall, okay, we didn't expect much. He didn't do much of anything either. And Christian McCaffrey was okay. I didn't think he was great. He caught the ball effectively, but didn't run the ball overly effectively. And Purdy was kind of running for his life once again back there and was able to throw for a touchdown to Jennings and ran one in himself. But the long-term prognosis for this team right now does not look very good. They look like they're on the outside looking in. They're dead last, right, in the NFC West. Let me repeat that. They are in last place in their own division after every other team in the Division 1 and the Cardinals were on bye. So where are you at on the 49ers? Not just for now, because we asked Brock Purdy or Bo Nix. This team could be very different next season, and it may just be Brock Purdy and Brandon Ayuk, and probably Kittle too.
Man, they missed Kittle. That's number one. They missed George Kittle severely, and I'm watching the game. I'm thinking, is Debo playing? Like, where the hell is Debo Samuel? I mean, it was Jennings. I went on, I thought Cowboys Twitter was bad, in shambles, depressed. I mean, they want Kyle Shanahan gone. I mean, I am seeing people call Kyle Shanahan a fraud. That
the fraudulent one.
That he is, this was the one that got me, Jay. I saw people saying that Kyle Shanahan is being carried by Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey and the offense. I thought we was down bad. I thought we were down bad in Dallas. I'm scrolling. What is it? Hashtag FTTB, 49ers, Niner gang. I'm just looking, find some information to troll them this morning. And it is panic button. You would have thought. It is full blame. I haven't seen a meltdown like this since November 7th. I have not seen a meltdown like this since November 7th. The fans in San Fran are panicking, Jay. They want him gone. Debo gone. Just blast them all to the sun, to the moon, wherever you want to go. But this is bad. And, you're asking the question, Purdy or Bo Nix. I thought Brock Purdy played. I thought he did the best he could. He's running around, running for touchdowns. I thought he played all right in that game, man. I thought he played all right. But people are panicked on this team, and they're done. I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs, last in the NFC West. Another good quality team that's about to have a good pick to just retool, the chaos that has ensued this season. McCaffrey being hurt, Ayuk done, Debo being in and out, Kittle hurt, O-line. It's just a mess, man. Hufanga, they didn't have Dre Greenlaw. Just bad. Bosa's hurt. He's limping around with a hurt hip.
Yeah, he's hurt now.
It's bad, man. But I still like Purdy. But a lot of people in the chat saying Nix over Purdy right now.
I mean, it's an interesting conversation because Debo was a player that, is he going to get moved this offseason? Brandon Ayuk, how badly do they want him? Well, they got him now for the next 2.5 seasons, right, after the injury. And it's very difficult to see what this team's going to look like because if we're being honest, their championship window seems closed. It does. They had their moment. They went to back-to-back Super Bowls. They couldn't beat the Chiefs. They're reeling right now, largely due to that McCaffrey injury, but even heading into next season, are you going to run it back again with the same team and the same offense with Brock Purdy on probably a massive contract? It's going to be very tough for this team to kind of make it work and continue to make it work. They've been throwing money at this for years and years. And at some point, maybe even into next season, they may just rear its ugly head and they can't afford to keep all these guys on payroll. So it's intriguing to talk about Purdy's long-term because we've been in for so long because of all the players they have on the team and the offense. But once some of that starts to go away, how effective is he still going to be? And is he still this top 12 quarterback that we tout year in and year out?
How bad does that Ayuk deal look today? I mean, Jennings look fine to me. I mean, I get it. He probably doesn't have the explosiveness, the big game-breaking ability, but you're right.
You're getting 10 for 91 from Juwan Jennings? And everyone else is doing nothing?
Patrick said this is the same team that fired Harbaugh after like 4 consecutive NFC championship trips, missed one time and was out. I don't know.
I mean, they went all in, right? Signing Ayuk, right? Which they clearly, we know they didn't want to sign Ayuk.
Like I'm just not, there's not a chance. Not a chance, man. Everyone was hurt this year. It wasn't like they had the full squad out there and just stunk it up. Like they literally didn't have McCaffrey to start. Ayuk has been out since week 5. Kittle's been in and out. Debo looks like he's 50,000 pounds right now.
He can't move after he catches the ball.
He
just stands there.
He's not the same Debo, and they keep running tunnel screens with him. He's just not the same dude right now. But you're right. This feels like their window. They had 2 Super Bowl trips in a 3-year period. They should have gotten one.
And then NFC Championship was the other one, the Eagles one.
Yeah, they should have gotten one. On the other side, you did talk about Geno Smith, and I think one of the big game-winning run, I want to give Geno Smith his flowers because it didn't look like they were going to win that one, and Geno just marched them right down the field, 2-minute drive, and continues to remind people that, they wrote him off, but he did not write back. I think the most revealing thing from that game is it did feel like JSN finally leapfrogged Tyler Lockett. DK Metcalf still got his. But JSN and DK Metcalf were the 2 primary target earners. Those were the 2 guys that moved the ball. JSN, big running catch, almost scored a touchdown in that game. It feels like he's back in. He didn't get the downfield work that DK got still, which is a problem. But it did feel like, at least in this one sample size, and we haven't seen all 3 on the field at the same time together, but this game it did feel like they are starting to transition more towards Jackson Smith and Jigba, and that is good for us in fantasy football. But yeah, the 49ers are cooked, man. That's a wrap for their season. It's going to take a lot of hope and prayer and a lot of things just breaking right for them to make the playoffs. So that take of them going to the Super Bowl, the run did not start versus Seattle. Final segment I do want to talk about, and we don't talk enough about this team, and I think it's for the simple fact that they don't have this star dynamic quarterback that we feel great about. But the Pittsburgh Steelers in a big win again. And I'm putting Orange Russ back up because Russ got back in. A lot of people didn't want Russ, didn't think that he should be the guy. And I don't want to say he cooked this past weekend, but Russell Wilson absolutely feels like, at least right now, the answer for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are, what are they? They're right there, third in the AFC?
They're 8-2. Yeah.
8-2.
They're 8-2.
Leading the North. Yeah. We talk about Baltimore, but I'm watching the Steelers. You know who looks good? Najee Harris looks good running the ball. Yep. Russell Wilson looks good being that facilitator. The defense is outstanding. George Pickens. Did you see the shoes that George Pickens wore on this weekend? He had some custom made. No. I don't have a picture of the shoes. I just got a dope picture of Pickens. If you had to guess what kind of custom made cleats George Pickens wore in this game, think about Pickens. Think about Pickens and think about the color of cleat and the type of cleat that was made for George Pickens. Let's see how culturally tapped in you are, JRich.
Well, I feel like it's too early for the one that I want to think of, but I don't know. Are they yellow?
Nah, man, you're letting the people down, man. Black Air Force One cleats. He had some custom design, all black, 10 toes down, standing on black business Air Force Ones. And y'all know if you want black Air Force Ones, they are up to no. If you wear those, you're up to no good. There nothing good comes of a pair of solid black Air Force Ones. And George Pickens said, "Damn it, give me the cleats." And he's good. I mean, we talk about follow the dots, trust the Trinity. He's an alpha level wide receiver, getting it done week in and week out. And the more impressive thing from Pittsburgh is how good of a coach this man is. Mike Tomlin, give him all the credit, all the flowers. We've got to see him in person up close at the Senior Bowl.
That's true.
Man, this dude, I'm telling you, Mike Tomlin won't even know you, and he will talk shit about you right to your face in a joking way. Like, he's a cool, down-to-earth guy. I saw me, man, this Deion Sanders wannabe cowboy. I mean, he's just a cool-ass dude. I love Mike Tomlin, the interaction that I've had with him, and just what he's doing with this team this season, where the expectation level wasn't really high for Pittsburgh to beat Baltimore, Jay, to be atop of the AFC North, number 3 in the AFC. And, I mean, it's no cakewalk for Buffalo or Kansas City. There's a real world with Pittsburgh. I mean, they're going through their division now. It's division time for the Steelers. So they are still vying for that number 1 overall seed as well. Just talk about Pittsburgh, Tomlin quickly. And, you know, you look at the Ravens and we can't keep making the excuses. Lamar, you got to get it done. You got Henry, Bateman's playing fine. You got Andrews and Likely, Zay Flower. Like, the compliment is there with Derrick Henry. They need to win, Jay. They're 7-4 right now, dropping this game. They lost one to the Raiders that they had no business losing. Like, let's go, Baltimore. We keep talking about you and Lamar and this team. Let's give Pittsburgh some more flowers and credit, man.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, Pittsburgh is doing just enough, right? It's not sexy. It's not fun. It's not even necessarily entertaining to watch, but they continue to get it done. They didn't score a single touchdown in this game, and it was still enough to beat the Baltimore Ravens. You talk about the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, and for whatever reason, and Brandon and I were talking about this early in the week when he's talking about taking overs for Russ but these teams, people got to understand this. These teams play disgusting games, like disgustingly bad, annoying, like defensive football. Like, this is AFC North football, baby, right here. And they still got another game to play in Baltimore. The Steelers' season, I don't want to say their season, but their season somewhat hinges on their game against the Eagles in a few weeks because they do have a game in Philly.
Their season does not hinge.
Hold on. I'm not saying their season is going to be over if they don't win the game, but if you want to talk about them being a high seed in the AFC, they have to win that game, and they probably have to win the game against Kansas City as well on Christmas. Those 2 games are their 2 big games. If they drop any other games, that's when you're talking about them vying for a spot with Buffalo. I talked about how Buffalo has a game against Detroit. Yes, it's an AFC-NFC game, but they got to win it if they want a shot at that 1 or 2 seed. So it's not to say that they can't do it, but it's a big game on the road against a very quality opponent, and they're going to have to win that if they want to vie for a very high seed. And so with that, Ray, they do have another game against Baltimore, which Lamar is going to be highly motivated to win, and that is going to be a road game. So another big game for them to play, but he does have to play better. And I do have to give him some grace because it just seems like Mike Tomlin has his number, and I don't think he knows what to do. I don't think the Ravens know how to beat the Steelers. And I think that's something they got to figure out.
But that's unacceptable.
How they're going to go about it.
Jay, that's unacceptable. That is.
We do see it in football, though, sometimes.
I don't want to hear that from a player that we love, but a player that we've been on here. Oh, he's on his way to his 3rd MVP. He's the most valuable player in the league. He's the best. I don't want to hear he doesn't know how to beat Pittsburgh. This team having 10 points in the 4th quarter, going into the 4th it's egregious. And I'm not discrediting Pittsburgh's defense.
Yeah.
Because it's great. But this offense looked bad. Like it is, and it's the thing with Baltimore. You want them to be consistently good and not all the up and down, the highs and lows that you get with the Baltimore Ravens.
They've been very up and down this year. Very up and down. Like you can't put together the season that they've had with the high highs. Like, Ray, this is the team that beat Buffalo 35-10. This same team beat Buffalo 35-10, but they also lost to the Raiders. They lost to the Browns, right? Yeah. Those two games are inexcusable if you expect to be this top team in the AFC. Yeah, sure, the Chiefs lost. We can forgive that because it's the Chiefs. Even the Steelers lost to some extent. You can forgive because it was on the road. And we know now, we didn't expect this, but we know now they're a very good team. They're a very good team. But they still got to play the Chargers this week at SoFi. Are you confident they're going to win that game? Because I'm not. I think they can win, but I wouldn't be confident in it. They still have to play the Eagles, and they got to play the Texans. And honestly, even as bad as the Texans are at times, I don't even know if that's a guarantee for Baltimore.
Let me just ask you this. If they don't get it done this year, how much grace does John Harbaugh continue to get?
I don't think he's getting fired. I think it would take a long time for him to be.
But does it get hot? I don't think Shanahan's getting fired. But that's why for these kind of
coaches. You know who should be on the hot seat, Ray?
Who?
Justin Tucker. He stinks right now. And like we talk like you look at Money Mac even last night when he should have made multiple field goals and missed them all, but he's very young. But like Tucker is kind of going through that Vinatieri arc. Remember when Vinatieri started to fall off a little bit and Vanderjagt started to fall off a little bit in Indy? And
Nick Folk in Dallas was the same way. He was automatic until he wasn't.
Yeah. And so that's one thing that you look to and say, hey man, we need to be better as a team. But Tucker is a guy who 50 plus, he's money, and he's missing like everything from 50 plus right now. I don't think Harbaugh's seat's ever going to get hot. He just means too much to that team. He's been there for so long. And we didn't even talk about this. The two longest tenured coaches in the NFL, period. Tomlin and John Harbaugh.
Tomlin and John Harbaugh.
These guys have played against each other like 17 times. Obviously, they play twice a year, but it's like the familiarity is tough, clearly, for everybody. And the defenses get the better on both sides. So it's pretty crazy to see some of these games, but they got another one. So we'll see how they play. They got it at home at least, and they got to win it. Like at this point, the Baltimore Ravens are not even competing for the division right now, in my opinion. They're competing for the 5 seed, and the Chargers are on their asses for that 5 seed. If they lose that game to the Chargers, oh my God, they're in big trouble and probably looking at the 6 seed and could be playing at Buffalo or at KC that second round of the playoffs, or even the first round of the playoffs.
All right, Jay, there are quite a few games and players that we didn't discuss today, but that's okay because we will be back on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, we're going to talk through the incredible rookie that is Brock Bowers and just how dominant and ridiculous he is. I'm looking right now at the current NFL Rookie of the Year odds. Jaden Daniels still the odds-on favorite, but right behind him is Bo Nix. And I do want to have a conversation about that. You know, it's been a foregone conclusion that Jaden Daniels was going to be the runaway NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. Maybe there's a debate for another player or two. We'll talk about that. On Wednesday, I also want to discuss Puka Nacua, who was, again, just when he's on the field, he's dominant. Jared Goff, we talked about the upcoming game against the Indianapolis Colts on the road inside a dome, though, so you don't have to worry about outdoor road golf. And there are a lot of other players. Drake May, I saw a lot of people in the chat talking about Drake May, wanting to do a would you rather with Drake May, a player that you love, a player that we've been very excited about on the New England Patriots. We didn't talk about the Browns. We didn't talk about Taysom Hill's big day. Didn't talk about Minnesota, Devon Achane. So there's a lot of football that we are going to get to. Comeback win for the Packers. I don't really know if it was a comeback win, but they got a gift by a missed field goal to win the game. But there's a lot, man. There's so much football to consume, digest. There's a lot of rookie stuff that's being talked about and put out there. You got the college football playoffs really coming into shape. So just stay tapped in. We'll be back on Wednesday morning. 8 a.m., standard, 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern time. We're on the damn show, JRich. Hit the music, man. Hit the damn music. Hit the music. Hit the music. Hit the music. Appreciate the people. Appreciate all of y'all. Elwood, Patrick, Adam, Ryan, Mega Max. Bowers should have been 101 in 1 QB leagues.
Dude,
Very good. Very good. There are a couple of other Bowers-esque tight ends coming out in 2025. The big one being that 6'5" monster out of Penn State and Tyler Warren. What else do we have in here? Chess. See. Y'all gonna keep on. HK Survivor 1993. He wants the chess username for old GQ. Y'all, don't start with me today. It's a good day. It's a happy Monday. Don't troll old GQ. Jay, anything you want to say to people before we get out of here?
No, man. Hope everyone has a great week. We will see you on Wednesday. Check out my show on Bleacher Report today at 5 p.m. Eastern time. I'll drop the link for that on Twitter. And we will see you guys on Wednesday. Lots of stuff to get through. And yeah, the Rookie of the Year conversation could be interesting because Jaden's got some tough games down the stretch. But we'll see.
Patrick,
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Hit the like and subscribe. Ray, what else you got?
Patrick said no taste and talk. I'm taking my like back. Don't you take it back, Patrick. Damn it. Don't you take it back. Come join the fam. Come join the squad. Jordan, Adam. Yeah, see, when are we swimming against one another? Ray, I got my goggles. Get y'all asses out of here, man. See y'all on Wednesday. This chat, man, I can't stand it.